Hey everybody, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Paul.
And welcome to the Fan Voice, episode 29. This week we're going to be talking about Nintendo and their recent announcements of going into the mobile gaming space, which sounds very scary.
Yeah.
And is kind of scary in a lot of ways, which we'll be talking about. When was this? This was March 17th? Is that correct?
Somewhere around that time.
I think so. But it was a press conference, and I truthfully don't even know where. It looked like a very small room.
Yeah.
in some like hotel somewhere.
Yeah,
they just had some reporters.
It was interesting, like really private or whatnot.
Yeah, and I think it was a very. It was kind of more of a corporate one that they've had in a while.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't very customer facing.
No.
And it showed because they wanted to really highlight a change in the direction of the company, which was going to really affect the corporate side of it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just go through what they actually talked about. They had a decent amount of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I guess just the big initial one is their partnership with DNA, which
DENA. Dena, I guess, is a mobile gaming company that's kind of like pretty high up there in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Mobile gaming in Japan, for those who don't know, is very, very big. So a lot of people have been thinking that Nintendo's going to be doing this like 5 years ago.
Oh, really?
Because they're very big with 3DS. They're already very big in the mobile gaming space.
That's true.
But they just haven't gotten into smartphones yet, basically.
Yeah.
And a lot of Japanese people use their smartphones all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They're riding trains all the time. Public transportation is huge. So they have a lot of downtime to be able to spend on a mobile device.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people have been expecting Nintendo to do this for a while. No announcement has ever been made, and now they've made the announcement that instead of just being like, okay, we're going to release some old games on smartphone for iOS and for Android, instead they said, okay, we just bought 10% of DeNA, one of the bigger mobile game, like up-and-coming mobile game companies in Japan, and we're going all in.
Yeah.
Right now. And that's a little bit different kind of business strategy that I don't think I was expecting. And for me, it seems a lot smarter than what a lot of people thought they were going to do, which was just release old games on these and then just leave it at that. Oh, let's go for some short-term profit. Let's release some old games on the smartphones.
No.
And then leave it at that.
Because the one thing they're emphasizing here is really not being like a one-hit wonder or a rehash or something. They want to like make this a very like pillar essence of their entertainment systems.
Yeah, and I think that's a much better way to do things.
Absolutely.
And to really get into the medium by basically buying into a company that knows what to do and be a really
who's
good
very, very familiar with their
Yeah.
like mobile service and mobile gaming especially.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to do it, because now you have a source to draw on when you're like, all right, let's make some mobile games.
Exactly.
And I think the thing about this that kind of made me be a little like, oh, that's interesting, like an interesting business move, sort of, is the fact that Nintendo didn't just partner with DeNA. They bought 10% of DeNA's stock. And that makes them, I think, the second majority holder of stock. I think somebody else holds like 20. Some other company. So Nintendo's basically really buying.
They're
like,
putting
literally
in the
buying
cards
into
and
this.
saying we have faith in this.
Yeah.
It's not just a cheap scam or all talk kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's confident from them. And I like that fact.
Absolutely.
I like that they go in kind of confidently with this. And it's kind of interesting because the minute I heard about this and the minute I watched some of the press conference, I realized that it was much more business oriented, because they were talking a lot about stock, like they had bought stock in another company.
Uh-huh.
And this is just kind of an aside, but I immediately thought, I bet right now Nintendo stock is exploding. And I looked 2 or 3 days ago and it had. I think a lot of investors were really interested in the fact that Nintendo has finally been like, okay, we need a change and we need to do it now.
Right.
Sort of thing. And I'm pretty sure that there has been a lot of talk about Nintendo like as a business kind of failing. On Forbes is a big one because Forbes has kind of a, not necessarily crowdsourced, but they have like a blog system where kind of anybody can blog.
Oh, I see.
But they pick up some people and they're like official Forbes like contract writers basically. So there's been a lot of talk in the video game industry, Forbes, Wall Street Journal, places like that, about Nintendo going into the mobile gaming space.
Okay.
And a lot of them are saying it's a long time coming. So
yeah,
I
definitely.
think it was funny because that, to a lot of people that I know, that was a surprise. People weren't thinking, why hasn't Nintendo gotten into mobile gaming? People are thinking, like, they're making great games. The Wii U is pretty awesome. I use it to game with my friends.
Yeah.
And none of us, like, I guess as enthusiasts, really cared that much. But investors were immediately thinking, this is the perfect way for you to go. You need to be doing it now.
Yeah, true. And I think a big part of like Nintendo fans who relatively know the company is that they're very careful to tread any new waters kind of thing. So I mean, it could still come to a surprise in that aspect as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it is kind of funny because I think a lot of people like us, like just normal gamers, would automatically think like, man, that seems like a pretty big departure. But really, mobile gaming is huge.
Yeah.
Like we think of a hardcore game company going into mobile gaming as like, well, that's a big risk. It's not at all.
No.
Like at this point, console gaming is a bigger risk.
Uh-huh.
There's not going to be a new console. The only reason Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo are still working is because they have a fan base.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's true. Very true.
So at this point, mobile gaming is much less of a risk if you think about it. And the thing that makes me kind of be like, that kind of makes me interested is the fact that they purchase stock and are going after DNA as a partnership. So
right.
Because that proves to me that it's not just recycling old games on a new platform.
Yeah.
You know, sticking a touchscreen controls on it, you know?
Absolutely. They're taking it really seriously.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I would not expect any less from Nintendo with one of the few, like, major partnerships they have kind of thing. Like, to this scale, you know? I don't think there are very many we can compare it to besides, like, Singular Games or anything like that.
No.
So, absolutely, they're taking it seriously, and it's almost like a part of, like, they kind of still have that enclosed mindset where it's like, okay, these guys know what they're doing. You're becoming part of our family kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if DNA starts doing so many things that they ultimately end up becoming absorbed.
And I don't think that'll be a bad thing.
No.
Yeah.
No, I really don't think it will either, because, most companies are looking for something like that if they can find a place to fit in.
Right, exactly.
So I guess now the question is, now that they have DNA, how are we going to see that leveraged? Like, what do you think the first mobile games are going to look like?
Yeah.
Obviously, you want to take the characters. You don't, you're dumb.
And of course.
Nintendo's not dumb with their characters. They're very smart.
Yeah.
Look at Amiibo.
And and that is their strongest aspect over miles over the characters of the other two consoles, you know?
Yeah.
Their icons are their titans of the industry.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, at this point, you definitely have to bring in the characters. But I'm always thinking, like, what are the games going to look like?
Absolutely.
on
because
mobile.
there's definitely a few routes you can take. Just thinking out all the options, you could do some cheaply thing like just tap tap Candy Crush or Flappy Bird or something
Right,
like
with
that.
some of the characters, you could. Yeah.
And then there's like before we were talking about the emulation route, where it's like kind of like just the rehashed old games on a mobile device, which could probably make a lot of money, but
Short term,
at
yeah.
at this point, it's kind of not looking like that.
Yeah.
And then
Which is okay. I'm okay with that.
yeah, absolutely. And then I don't know. I think Nintendo will just do something that no one else will think of, like they've done in the past, and will be like, "Why didn't anyone think of that?"
Yeah.
kind of thing.
I think
you know.
I think you might be right, and I think there's also an element of like, their older games. Some of their older games, like Dr. Mario, would be a perfect fit for a mobile platform.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
So they definitely have properties that already could be perfectly remade for it. And like I said, you don't have to dump that old game, just remake the concept on mobile. And I think there are some certain games that would work. One that kind of makes me think, two actually, really, that kind of makes me think that they could work really well is Mario Kart and Mario Party.
How do you think Mario Kart will work?
So Mario racers on iPhone and iPad are actually not that bad. The accelerometer is good enough, and I think if you make a tight enough, especially drift racers, are very...
Like, do they actually utilize the movement of the phone? Oh, okay.
You can definitely utilize the movement. Now, you can't have... It's going to look like a different Mario Kart. Because you're not going to have tracks that are like, go in a circle, and then like crazy 90-degree turns over and over again.
Yeah.
Because an iPhone's probably not that good.
No.
So it's going to look like a much simpler track.
It'll be like, maybe like Super Nintendo Mario Kart track complexity with better graphics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basic. That's kind of what my thought process is. And I mean,
interesting.
connecting online easily with people, and just basically a fun arcade racer, I think is a pretty good fit.
Yeah.
But like I said, motion controls are difficult,
Right.
to say the least. So
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
really have to start. I mean, you have to go. You have to basically start from the very beginning. You can't just take Mario Kart 8 and put it onto phones.
No,
You know
like
what I
the
mean?
the amount of ambition in that would be a train wreck,
Yeah.
to say the least.
So, but I think it could. I still personally think it could work.
Yeah, I mean,
basically have
with
gas and brake, and it would work.
right with the and so I don't know that much about mobile gaming, but if they utilize the steering sensor, yeah, it would be an awesome experience.
So I mean, that's how I kind of think that would work. And the other Mario Party, I think, needs to kind of change, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mario Party 10 came out. That was actually kind of recent. It did not get very good reviews. Kind of middling reviews.
Oh, okay.
And I think a lot of people at the end of the day were just kind of like, they just kind of pushed amiibos really lazily. And the mini games are just ridiculous. Dull, and, they're over the... Of course, this is a complaint for most Mario Party games. Apparently it's a little bit worse in this one, but the mini games are basically unwinnable sometimes.
Interesting.
And I think, at the same time, a lot of people played Mario Party 10 and went, yeah, but, like, there's new boards, and everybody's kind of like, yeah, but...
It's kind of the
same
thing, yeah.
And I think the minigame aspect lends itself so well to mobile. Because everybody has their own device in a room.
Right.
And that's an incredibly powerful thing. A great example of actually kind of blending console and mobile is... I cannot remember the exact name of the game, but do you remember that old game You Don't Know Jack, the trivia game on SNES and stuff? So
well, they had newer ones as well.
They have newer ones. I think it's Fibbage. That's what it's called.
Okay.
They have one called Fibbage, and it was for the Xbox One.
Uh-huh.
And the console served as kind of the main focal point, but if you had a device, you could just easily hook up to, and they had a code for the room, that was hosted on the Xbox, and then you did all of your necessary things on your phone.
Huh.
So everybody could be in a room, but it's easy to hide answers from people, to have different, have like different experiences basically because you have your own screen to work off of.
Yeah.
So Mario Party to me seems like a pretty natural fit to that. Like getting into a room and having a Wii U or whatever the next game on the next console is, if it's going to be Mario Party, having everyone have their own device and being able to play mini games on that device and have that be the controller and everything else, that seems incredibly powerful to me.
Mm-hmm.
Along with the fact that then you don't have to also have the console there.
Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
You can also potentially do it just on the devices as well.
Yeah.
And I think Mario Party lends itself rather easily. You don't need a big screen.
No.
To see everything.
No, absolutely
Get
not.
together.
It just depends on the games, but most of them are so dang simple and have you're either standing in a place or you're in a very small area kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I was thinking was what came to mind when you said Mario Party is some of these games that are like turn response based on each of the people kind of thing. So like I think of like my siblings playing Scrabble with their friends. It's like they make their move and then they just wait whenever their friend has a moment to pick up the game, they play their turn kind of thing. And perhaps maybe Mario Party for mobile devices could split into two different things, and maybe a mode without mini games or something, or a mode with like mini games by yourself. So you can wait. You can just like wait on those other people without having to all like suddenly respond in a 4-player interactive game thing. And that's a very good point. Yeah, and that could be like a convenience factor in like interactive games, which is huge on mobile, I would say. And I mean, because I have definitely been one of those people that's like, why do I have to wait for my crops to grow on Farmville or something? And yeah, it's a little bit of a money grab, but at the same time, it's also a kind of, like you said, it's kind of a convenience factor. It's supposed to be a pick up and put down throughout the day. Exactly.
And I feel like Mario Party lends itself really well to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're absolutely right. So
absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of possibility there.
Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. So what do you think? What do you think they can take an existing franchise? What do you think if they make new games?
I think one more existing franchise on top of those. Okay. WarioWare.
Oh yeah, you're 100% right. I was not thinking about that, but yeah.
Like oh man.
Because it's much in the same way as Mario Party, but it's micro games.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
You either handle like the censoring or like another thing I was thinking of, like maybe a new franchise or WarioWare, like handling the touchscreen system, where maybe Nintendo starts bringing out these like larger, softer styluses, like kind of like I don't know, like a little like circular pen thing with a mushy end kind of thing.
All right,
that's more sensitive for your cell phone, kind of thing. But you can like utilize the touchscreen a lot like quicker and stuff.
Okay, that would be really cool.
Yeah. I
mean, WarioWare is a really good idea. Actually, I had not thought of. And also because I can already picture in my head somebody at work or whatever, or on break, just absolutely like throwing around a phone, doing all this crazy shit, and people suddenly are like, "What are you like? What game are you playing?" It lends itself immediately to like the viral nature of mobile games.
Absolutely.
To me, getting people to do crazy stuff in public and tell their friends about it, and like, dude, you gotta try this game. It makes no sense.
They would basically break the boundaries of cell phones, because I don't think there is a cell phone game that makes you interact so physically right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point. It's a really good opportunity for Nintendo to take to kind of tap into that, like I said, viral nature of mobile games.
Absolutely.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah. Definitely.
Oh man, now I'm imagining all of the cool mini games that you could do.
Yeah. Oh
now
my
I really
gosh, it
want
would be
that.
so
I
much
really
fun.
want a WarioWare.
Yeah,
mobile.
definitely.
That would be awesome. I loved the Wii. The WarioWare on Wii was amazing.
It was a really fun party game.
It was
kind of
awesome.
thing.
Yeah, it really was.
Like all the weird stuff you'd have to do
Yeah.
in like 3
No,
seconds.
it's
kind of
hilarious.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so WarioWare, Mario Party, Mario Kart. I mean, is there anything else we really think of like kind of lends itself? I mean,
Like an existing franchise
See-
kind of staying true to itself.
see, that's the thing
Yeah.
is, I think a lot of these are gonna have to just branch out. I think a Mario. I mean, it's easy to take Mario and make it into an endless runner.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's easy to take those and do that, and I think you can do them well. And I know that from experience because Rayman is a very good console game,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also a very good mobile endless runner.
Yeah.
Because I played the shit out of the Rayman mobile game.
Wow. Okay.
I played it all the time whenever
Yeah.
I had time because it mimicked the console game so well,
Okay.
and I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
So a Mario game like that, I can see it. I can 100% see it, and I think it would work
Mm-hmm.
if done correctly. And I
Right.
think I trust Nintendo is going in the right direction here. I mean, they bought
Yeah.
stock into Dena, and they're doing this whole partnership. I think they're on the right track.
Right.
So I hope that they are going to do it right.
Any 2D platformer, I think they could really do. I mean, you see these like unofficial like emulators copying games so well,
Yeah.
and it doesn't seem too difficult for
Mhm.
well the programmers who are handling that stuff. So like yeah, Nintendo can definitely take it a notch up from there. I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, yeah, as far as the other franchises go, I mean, Mario, it can easily make an endless runner. The only one well, not the only one, but the big one that I'm thinking of that I don't know what they're going to do with, honestly, is Zelda.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm worried that they're going to try to make cheap little mini games that are like, what's the name of the Wii U?
Oh, that crossbow thingy?
Yeah, the crossbow one or the one where you're, just swinging the sword or shooting the bow on the Wii U.
Oh.
In Nintendo Land.
I see.
Land, one of the
Okay.
mini games. I don't want that to happen. Because I feel like with Mario, making an endless runner makes sense because Mario's a platformer.
Yeah.
Mario Party is mini games.
Mm-hmm.
Mario Kart is a racer. These kind of make sense to me.
Yeah.
But taking the whole of a Zelda game, which is expansive and just honestly huge in a lot of ways,
Right.
with a strong narrative and everything, and trying to translate that into a mobile game is a lot harder.
It'd be really weird but kind of interesting is what if they made a Zelda, like a mobile Zelda game, like one of those like really old school dungeon crawlers.
I was thinking that. I'm so glad that you said that because I was thinking that in my head. I'm like, an 8-bit Zelda game,
Yeah.
but like a new one,
Right.
would be really cool.
Yeah.
Like click on the sides of the screen to go that direction.
Right.
That would be awesome.
It'd be interesting. Because, like, oh my gosh, kudos for Nintendo if they would be able to bring something like that back.
Yeah.
That we
I'm
haven't
with you.
seen in ages.
Mm-hmm. That would be really cool.
So that could be something for a Zelda mobile game.
And the other thing I'm thinking is, you could do a Infinity Blade type game. Have you ever heard of Infinity Blade before?
Not really.
So Infinity Blades, I'll show it to you after this because it's pretty good. But it's a mobile game, sword fighting game where you actually swipe on the screen to swing and swipe up to parry.
Like Fruit Ninja kind of thing.
Well,
but more accurate.
Kind of like Fruit Ninja,
Yeah.
but more accurate and more action based.
Okay.
Because you're actually fighting someone.
Oh, I
So
see.
you have to swipe up to parry, block, and if you block at the right time, you get a stun bonus. There's potions, so you have to heal yourself.
Ooh, okay.
So it's more expansive, and actually the story is pretty decent, oddly, which I was not expecting. And it's kind of an auto-pathing sort of game. So you start at the beginning, you click on an enemy to fight him. You level up, you gain gear, and you can put on gear or whatever before you click on the next guy to fight him.
Okay.
And in between all these fights are just little cutscenes with your character walking.
Wow.
And then occasionally there's a branching path, and you go one way or the other. The cool thing about Infinity Blade is that it's called Infinity Blade because your character, in a way, kind of regenerates. They actually die, and the next person in your bloodline takes place. So you play the game over and over and over again over potentially thousands of years.
Oh my gosh.
Of one family's bloodline.
Huh.
And it's a really, really cool concept.
Yeah.
So it's kind of endless in a way. You can just go. And you actually, you keep, as you level up your character, it transfers over to the next person because they get all of your gear.
Yeah.
All of your old gear.
Ooh. Yeah.
So it's a really cool concept. And, by the 20th family member, however long it takes you, you fight the guy at the top and stop the world from dying. It's
Okay.
it's kind of that sort of story. But it's oddly very good.
Yeah.
And I think it surprised a lot of people because it's the first kind of game that reminds you of mechanics normally used in console games.
Right.
Progression. There's a lot of choice. And there's very precision-based mechanics. And it works well enough that you go, okay, I can do this. And you get really sucked into it.
Uh-huh.
A Zelda game with that might actually work.
I could totally see that.
Now, it would be a straight-up copy.
Uh-huh.
Because Infinity Blade is not... It was a pretty original concept.
But, dude, they would make bank.
But they would
make bank. Freaking Zelda crossover. Like, probably a lot of, like, Nintendo fans, or maybe a good chunk of Nintendo fans haven't heard too much about Infinity Blade.
Right.
And
right.
they'll be like, oh, this is so original, but not really. Yeah. But I love it anyway.
It's very true, actually.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And I think I would still like to see it. I think
Absolutely.
even if I saw it and was like, well, it's kind of a ripoff,
hey,
I would play it.
You know what? Tetris and Tetris Attack have been ripped off 10,000 times over by mobile games.
That's a really good
Candy Crush.
That's a really good point.
They get a bone to throw in my book.
Yeah, no, you have a point. You definitely do. I mean, so I think that would be a cool direction for a Zelda game as far as taking a Zelda game with dungeons.
Absolutely.
I don't know how you translate that, but maybe you can do it in that style. Progress from dungeon to dungeon. And then do puzzles in between. Actually, this is sounding better and better now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, right?
Using that mechanic, but not having it be like an endless, like having it be like an actual game that you play all the way through.
Yeah.
But going from dungeon to dungeon, and in between the fights
are
are puzzles.
as well.
Okay. Maybe that would be a lot better than I originally thought. Because I originally thought, like, it would be kind of a ripoff. It'd be cool, but it would just be like Zelda's Infinity Blade.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more and more, like, new equipment could change up playstyles.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like, if you combine all of those, it could be, like revolutionary in its own suit, adding so many different, like, capabilities of the mobile device in a single game kind of thing.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. They might go that route. I mean, then again, they might blow us away with, like you said, a retro dungeon crawler Zelda game, or something completely different. I mean, they could literally translate the Zelda experience in a more traditional way and have it work.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know much about Dena, but I know about Nintendo, and I know they're not going to settle for anything less than really excellent gameplay.
Right. Absolutely.
So I'm not super worried about their movement into this space. I don't think they're going to slap haphazard controls. If they have any control over the game, I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, Nintendo moving into the mobile space is kind of interesting. And in a move that I don't know if it surprises me as much as I was like, it made sense of his explanation made sense, is the president of Nintendo said, no, we don't want to come in here and just say, we're moving into the mobile gaming space and then leave, because that might look bad. Mm-hmm. So he goes, so just so you know, a new console is coming out in 2016.
Yeah.
Once again, I was like, okay.
Project, codename NX.
Oh yeah, NX is the code name. So, NX is... I'm not sure what it is.
Nobody knows. we basically just have the announcement that they're making it.
So, I don't know what their idea with NX fully is yet, but I imagine that it's somewhat of a kind of like integrator between all of these things that they have.
Yeah, I don't have a clue what that would be, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
They're like trying to like fill in that like last missing link between like mobile and home console games. It's like, what the heck? Because I don't know, originally we were thinking it's like, oh my gosh, they're already done with Wii U, that's crazy. But like the way they've been talking about it, and especially this slide with like they're talking about the joint development and the new membership of integrating everything, you see like mobile, tablet, PC on one side, and then on the other side it's 3DS, Wii U, and then that thing in its own like bubble kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like oh my goodness.
I don't know, because the way I heard, is it Itawa, right? Is that his last name? I do not remember. The president of Nintendo.
Iwata.
God, I'm sorry, I'm terrible. He was talking and he said, what we really should have done with Wii U and 3DS and all these different devices is make the architecture similar, like iPhone and iPad. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a really good point. Mm-hmm. Because he's kind of right in a lot of ways. Having it kind of translate between the two would make a lot of sense. And I mean, I think that was part of what their plan was with the Wii U tablet. Right. But they just didn't get there.
And like they're having some interaction with 3DS and Wii U. Right.
And I think that's what they realized kind of like halfway through designing Wii U, is they were like, man, this would be great if you could play a 3DS game on the Wii U. Yeah. Have the bottom screen be the gamepad. And I don't think they ever fully got there, but I think that was part of the idea. Yeah. And I think that's what he was trying to say here, or at least partly, is they didn't get there. Right. And so what's interesting to me is now they have this NX. And what I think this is I think this may be a smartphone.
You think so?
Well, not just a smartphone. Obviously, it's also a console, right? Mm-hmm. But I think there's also a smartphone development with this. And it would make sense because then you would have the same architecture from the console NX to the smartphone NX.
Ooh, yeah.
To potentially like a 3DS type device that would also fit within this NX brand.
Oh my gosh, a Nintendo cell phone.
So, a Nintendo cell phone. So let's talk a little bit about...
Oh my god.
Let's talk a little bit about how that is simultaneously an awesome idea and an absolutely terrible idea. Because it could be really cool. Hey, I'm playing this awesome mobile game. Oh, there's also a companion full game that you can play on NX. Mm-hmm. Boop, I'm going to download that real quick. That's really cool. Mario Party, we're talking about Mario Party, or WarioWare. Yeah. Have WarioWare be on the screen. Everybody's suddenly playing different things on their smartphones. hey, that's cool, I'll download it. Now
Yeah.
everybody just needs to download the app, we're good to go. App is free. That sounds awesome. At the same time, Nintendo is not exactly amazing in the online buying and playing space.
Yeah.
And it's a little rough as it is. The Wii U shop is like, it doesn't work right sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes transferring from 3DS to Wii U is a nightmare. There's a lot of issues. And, I mean, really, having a unified account system would be great. But that hasn't even happened until Wii U and 3DS.
Right.
Which is, in my opinion, pretty much a travesty. Sony did that a long time ago with their mobile devices.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was not like they had to bend over backward to do it.
Yeah.
So...
Because them being like an electronics company before a gaming company definitely helped in that aspect.
I mean, that's true.
And I guess kind of the same with Microsoft.
Yeah, with Microsoft. I think you have a point, definitely.
But yeah, it's definitely a scary process. But I mean, Wii U and 3DS, they've definitely made a good jump with their predecessors, and maybe with this cell phone thing and with NX, they're saying, okay, this is our final jump, and then we'll be right in the nick of things. We'll be like up to date and flowing well and everything.
Right.
Hopefully, like that's. I'd like to think of it that way.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. It's from the past experience of them. They have the least experience outside of gaming with the three like big names. So this will be crazy unexplored territory for them.
Yeah, it's definitely untested waters.
Yeah.
I think I just don't see these two. I mean, he tried to kind of pass it off. Iwata tried to kind of pass it off like it was unrelated. Oh, hey, look, we're picking up Dena. Well, not picking up, but we're partnering with Dena. We're really going into this space hardcore.
Yeah.
And look, we also have a new console. But, that's unrelated. So, let's just talk about the new console and how awesome it's going to be. And how it's going to sync with all these other devices. That just seems too... It seems like that's connected enough for it to be like, I think they might be making a smartphone as well.
Yeah.
At least it would make sense to me.
Definitely.
So,
absolutely, yeah.
And I just want to go ahead and say, that's a cool... If that's true, that's a cool opportunity for things to kind of bridge the gap between console and mobile gaming.
Yeah.
That personally I don't think we've seen before. I mean... The last thing I can really think of that did that is Windows phones. Windows phones had the ability to do pretty much anything you wanted to do on Xbox Live, you could do.
Oh, okay.
Account-wise. I mean, buying games to set up to download your Xbox One. Seeing all your friends online, messaging your friends with what I've been told is actually a really good messenger system. And so... There's a lot of that Microsoft was obviously trying to do. I think it's just that the Windows Phone didn't take off.
Right.
And if Nintendo pushes this, hey, we've got a console and we've got a smartphone, push that first, bring out the games, have people be interested in, maybe I'll check out the smartphone. Get the smartphone first. And then have it kind of creep into the other people who mobile game. Like, hey, have you heard about this new Nintendo phone?
Yeah.
I've heard it's pretty cool. I'm not a console gamer myself, but I know a lot of people that really like it because of this, and this. And that's when you have to have everything else in a smartphone work really well.
Yeah. Yep. That's true.
So...
I mean, it's... Beyond the games, you gotta have like all the applications and stuff, and I'm sure like that process is always really messy. Just having the base necessity applications, and stuff. So
yeah, I mean
that'll be an uphill battle for them, definitely.
Yeah, and I feel like if you don't do that, it's ultimately going to be a failure.
Yeah, like you have a couple brands of phones, like Droid, Android,
Right.
and then iPhone are like the biggest. Windows is pretty prominent, but they're
Right.
a huge company as well.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while, you get this weird ass like third party thing, like some one friend or like much older coworker or something has they you. This happened to me like so many times with a coworker of mine. She asked me how to like change her ringtone, and I don't know what this phone is, and like I'm searching everywhere. It's like, what is going on with this phone? I'm
Yeah.
looking in the settings and there's like two options and there's nowhere else to go on it. I don't know how you get to ringtones in the first place, kind of thing. And if Nintendo doesn't do this right enough, it could the cell phone part of it could be one of those things. It's like, okay, this isn't a legit smartphone. This is a weird ass toy
Yeah.
kind of thing.
That's the
You know?
issue. Is the next step is, yeah, you've partnered with Dena, which means you can make games and become a platform basically to release mobile games. That's great. If you want to make a smartphone, you better be looking to hire Samsung.
Yeah, or
Make a smartphone.
something like that.
Partner with someone else too as well and make a smartphone.
Right.
Because don't just go in expecting, we've made a 3DS. We have a touchscreen on it. Don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where I don't know if I trust Nintendo as much. I trust Nintendo with their characters and their IPs because they're very good with that, in my opinion. Where I don't think I trust them is, like, they put this giant screen in the middle of a tablet, and it's kind of a cool idea, and at the same time, it's just a 6-inch screen that sits there. And I'm like, did anybody think that through fully? It was almost like somebody went, wouldn't it be cool if there was a screen and a controller? And Iwata went, yes, make it. And that was it. That was R&D. You know what I mean? And that's where I worry with Nintendo, where it's like, wouldn't it be cool if we had a smartphone? Yes, make it.
Yeah, just a little off topic is just when you bring up the Wii U and the whole tablet thing. It's like they've done some cool stuff with it, but I think of Wii and like the only sensor part of it that really, really impressed me was Skyward Sword, which was at the end of its lifespan, because it really utilized your emotions to a really specific degree.
Right.
Of like needing to strike diagonal or upward or stab with an actual stabbing motion kind of thing. And like the tablet might end up being the situation where they come out with some cool stuff, but like it may take the end of their life to reach its full potential kind of thing.
And in the smartphone market, I don't know if you can do that and wait until the end of its life.
No. I mean, they even like admitted to like taking on that new difficulty of like smartphones and the applications of smartphones and your games needing to adapt to new systems is like it's in out so quickly, kind of thing. It's not just I think quoting from them, they said it's not just like you finish a product. The product is never really finished in a way, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
and that's definitely, you're definitely right about that. That's another issue is you release this phone with a limited amount of features and promise that there's going to be more. People aren't going to switch from an iPhone to you.
No.
Unless iPhone has gone so downhill at that point that they're looking for anything. And I doubt that at this point. I think iPhone is not as good as when I bought it. I think they've gone down a little downhill. But I don't think it'll ever get to the point where I'm like, well, a Nintendo phone, it can hardly send messages? Yes, I want it. I don't think I'm gonna get there.
No.
So
I mean, when you think of like normal usability of phones or just like people who are really into the whole smartphone technology kind of thing, no, they wouldn't be sold on to that. But they do have a kickstand, the Nintendo fan base.
It's true.
whether we agree or not, there will be a lot of people willing to forfeit a lot of those rights for that, all those Nintendo applications kind of thing.
It's a good point.
I mean, honestly, even I'm a little tantalized by the idea of it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely an attractive thing if they have, like, a certain amount of, like, exclusivity to their content if you get their smartphone kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would be smart for them to make their games only for their smartphone.
Yeah, no, and I think that's where my idea gets a little, like, maybe they won't do that.
Yeah,
because if they do, they lose a lot of people potentially who aren't willing to switch. If they own, because if you make your own smartphone and you release it out into the world, you're gonna want to have exclusive stuff on it. Because otherwise,
absolutely.
you can't really justify the cost of developing it and creating it and shipping it.
It's a lot to think about, and there are two paths to that where you don't know where it'll lead. You know, it just depends on how well they're able to tap into this new market kind of thing. Because if they put all their content on their phone only, yeah, you'll have the Nintendo fans flocking all over that. But at the same time, this is not a gaming thing. Like, first and foremost, this is an entirely new audience.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So you're not. I guess for an example, you make a documentary of a musician. Of course, the people who love that artist are gonna go to it, but people who are just like movie buffs or something may not be interested.
Right.
Kind of thing, you know, and yeah, there are no definite answers in that, but we're just looking at all the possibilities. Yeah. It's an intense process.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I mean, I think either way, if they make a smartphone or they don't make a smartphone, and at this point, that's pretty up in the air. I think I don't know. I think they're gonna make one, but of course, the more and more I think about it, like, I started out like, they're gonna make a smartphone. I think it's gonna happen. And then now I'm like, yeah, it could still happen. But the more and more I think about it, the more I'm like, this is just such a huge undertaking for a company that hasn't dealt with anything like that before.
Yeah.
And that isn't close to any other kind of industry that's even close to smartphone development. That maybe instead they just want to make it work on as many devices as possible.
Right.
Which is ultimately an excellent strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, I agree with you. It's a big undertaking, but at the same time, I think that this is a big sign that they could get to that point, even if they're not deciding to right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, and that's very true. Like, maybe the NX comes out, everybody really likes it, it works with most smartphones, and then Nintendo goes, look at this, we have a smartphone.
Yeah.
We're developing a smartphone. That could be the direction they take.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to come out immediately. That's definitely true.
Yeah.
But I can also see Nintendo not straight up making a phone, but what's even more likely to me too is having them partner with a major smartphone developer. Not developer, I guess, producer. And having them make a Nintendo branded phone, a dual branded phone.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
HTC has definitely done that with Windows phones before. You know, HTC is a big smartphone maker, and they made, if I'm remembering correctly, I think it's HTC that made a Windows phone. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if that's true. But that happens a lot, I think, in the smartphone market, at least a decent amount. So I can totally see, like, Nintendo come out on stage and be like, hey, HTC is making a Nintendo-themed phone. It's going to work with the NX.
Oh.
And HTC already knows how to make a smartphone. So you know it's going to be a good phone.
I just got a chilling image in my head. You turn on your cell phone, and, like, the classic Game Boy, the Nintendo sign scrolls down and it's just like ba-ding.
Okay, that would be pretty awesome. Oh man, I wanna.
All
Oh,
the feelings rushing inside me for that.
that would be a great startup.
Absolutely,
Oh
absolutely.
man, that would be awesome.
So much technology undertaking, but when you think about the presentation of it, it just gives you chills.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, definitely.
It's fun to dream.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there's just a lot of possibilities from this kind of announcement.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna know for a while, and you're definitely not gonna hear. You're definitely not gonna hear anything for a really long time.
Yeah, which is fine because Wii U is just finally starting to get out its heavy hitters. Yeah. So,
and I think this is very much a business move by them.
Mm-hmm.
They're seeing things kind of slip away, and they're like, we'll just make the announcement now.
Right.
Stock exploded, so it was a good idea, apparently.
Again, like you said, it was more like conference businessy. This wasn't like thrown out at E3 or something like that kind of thing.
There was not a lot of fanfare. It was very like, here's the next step for us.
Absolutely.
I think it's a good next step.
Yeah.
But I want to hear what you guys think. So let us know what you think. What kind of games are going to be out for mobile from Nintendo? How are they going to translate all their biggest franchises and characters to the mobile space? And tell us what you guys think about NX, and especially if you think they're going to make a smartphone. Are they just looking to integrate with as many smartphones as possible? Let us know what you guys think on that as well. Yeah. Anything to add?
I guess just really quick, what do you think the NX is?
So, I mean, personally, like I said, I think it's just a straight up video game console. I think the innovator part of it is a smartphone or some type of smartphone device.
Yeah.
That's personally what I think. I think the console itself won't be boring, but it'll be just a video game console.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Personally, that's what I think, because like I said, I think the innovator, if you can call the tablet an innovator, the tablet on the Wii U or motion controls on the Wii, I think the biggest innovator in this new console is going to be smartphone and mobile compatibility.
Okay. Because I had some weird ideas about this. Like they were saying like the new hardware system, brand new concept or whatever. They're really milking that term and stuff. And
yeah.
So like, I don't know. A couple thoughts I was thinking of is like maybe a tablet, or like something like a tablet that can interact with Wiimotes or something.
Okay.
Like,
so instead of being...
It'll be a portable system with local 4-player. Which...
Okay.
It's a nutty concept, I know, but that's something that popped into my head.
If they could pull that off...
Yeah.
That would be really interesting. I still think you'd have to have dedicated hardware to sit somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe...
Like maybe it can be charged with a certain amount of battery life, like a laptop or something like that.
That would be pretty crazy.
Or like a tablet or like a laptop style kind of thing where you put the disc in down there. It's like, oh, I don't know. That's just what I was thinking.
So that's really interesting. I hadn't thought of that before. I mean, they definitely...
And that would be, like, I guess, another in-between step of, like, the mobile to, like, home console kind of thing.
It's a very good point, because, I mean, and they've already done a tablet on the Wii U.
Right.
They tried to do a tablet on the Wii U.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, it's kind of a natural next step to have, like, a tablet instead of a smartphone, I guess, in a lot of ways, but...
A tablet,
A tablet...
Or a thin laptop kind of thing. Yeah.
Something with a screen that could...
Yeah.
It's an interesting thought.
Or tablet with a kickstand.
Yeah, well,
Just slide the disc in. I don't know. I don't know. It's crazy, but yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah, they do keep saying brand new concept. Developing a dedicated game platform with a brand new concept.
And it's staying alongside Wii U and 3DS.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah. So that's intense. That's really intense when you think about it, because like, what is it? Microsoft hasn't even tried with mobile, and then PSP or PS Vita, I feel like hasn't caught on as much, though they're getting there. I feel like it's been a much more uphill battle there. It doesn't come as naturally as like the Game Boy or the DS did to like Nintendo's thinking and stuff. And now they're bringing in a third step to that. It's like, whoa, what are you doing, Nintendo? If they pull this off right, they'll have a whole nother branch all to themselves.
You think so? With...
Well, I mean, for the longest time, Game Boy went like uncompeted against.
That's a good point.
You know?
That's a very good point.
We just have no idea what this concept is.
Yeah,
you know?
I have no idea.
Yeah. So if they do it right, yes, I think they'll have a whole new avenue to themselves again. Probably getting quickly ripped off or attempted to be ripped off by the other two.
It always happens.
Of course.
Always happens.
A good idea, you gotta copy it.
Yeah.
Or try to.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll see if it's a good idea. Because I hope that Nintendo can pull off, saying things like a brand new concept.
More buzzwords.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I really hope you can pull it off and have it be a brand new concept. I don't know.
At the very least, I'd say it's something different.
Okay.
Because, again, they're putting it alongside their other two consoles instead of replacing something.
Yeah. Well, that's what the graphics says. I don't know. Yeah.
I feel like that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because there's still so much life in 3DS and Wii U.
Mm-hmm. So. I mean, the console life hasn't been that long, honestly.
No.
And at this point, console lives are getting longer and longer in favor of just updating it.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Yep. No, it totally makes sense. It really does.
So, yeah, I'm done.
All right. No, that was good though. I hadn't thought of that before. Yeah, I don't know. Now my brain's spinning. I'm like, oh god.
We're not gonna get any sleep tonight.
All right. Well, tell us what you guys think about all this.
Tell us what you think. What the heck is going on?
What the heck is going on, and what the NX is, and how they're gonna integrate all this stuff. Yeah. Obviously, the two of us had completely different ideas, so I think you guys should have completely different ideas as well.
Give us your thoughts.
Yeah. So you can find us at Twitter at FanVoicePodcast.
YouTube.com/TheFanVoicePodcast.
Facebook.com/TheFanVoicePodcast.
Our email, fan@thefanvoice.com.
And our website, fanvoice.com, where you can find news, reviews, and all that good stuff.
Alright, so thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah. Tell us what you think about how crazy Nintendo is.
They're really crazy.
Yeah, they're insane. Alright, we'll see you guys later.